Welcome to Thriver's Ed, the podcast that's all about giving you the practical, no-nonsense advice you need to level up your life and business. I'm your host, Marcy Rossi, success coach, business strategist, and alcohol-free enthusiast. If you're ready to crush your goals, optimize your productivity, and live your best, most authentic life, then you're in the right place. Each week, we'll dive into topics like the psychology of success, practical strategies to boost your performance, and the unexpected ways living alcohol-free can elevate your life. Whether you're looking to boost your business, improve your health, or simply become a better version of yourself, Thriver's Ed is here to help you do just that. So grab your iced coffee, buckle up, and let's get thriving. Believe it or not, we are in the final month of 2025. And so I figured today would be a great opportunity to catch you guys up on what's been going on in my business, what I want to bring forward with me in 2026, maybe a little peek into my planning process, and perhaps some things I'm going to change. So to catch you up, if you're on my email list, you obviously already know this, but I decided to run a Black Friday flash sale this year. It's the first time I've done a Black Friday sale. I am in a program that teaches how to run a Black Friday sale, and I know a lot of fellow entrepreneurs run this quite successfully year after year, and so I figured let's just give this a shot. So for my Black Friday sale, there was one deal offered each day, so they had about 18 hours because I published it at 6 a.m. and it ended at midnight. They had about 18 hours every single day to grab that one deal, which was like, at least 50% off. Then that deal would expire and something else would come back the next day. And then I decided to bring back all 5 deals for one day only on Cyber Monday. So that was the premise of the sale. In order to promote this, I only told people on my email list and I put like a banner on my website. But again, the people visiting my website are most often people that are already on my email list as well, or that will soon be, hopefully. So that was kind of the promotional push that I did. I didn't do any social media because I haven't been doing social media. So in those emails, I sent an email in the morning and then an email in the evening with a reminder. And that was kind of the entire promotional period. And I'm going to be honest, it wasn't great. I made less than $1,000 over the course of like 12 emails, right? So I made a handful of sales throughout the process, and I didn't really know what my expectations should be, right? There are people that I'm in a mastermind and they kill it every year. Like, honest to God, one guy made $100,000 this year doing his Black Friday sale, and I didn't. But these are people that are also way above me just in general average revenue and email list size and everything. I'm a big believer in kind of pitching above your level, or whatever the sports analogy is, just basically surrounding yourself with people who are doing a lot better than you so that you can learn from them. I never really want to be the expert in the room unless I'm being hired to be that expert. Obviously, that's kind of my job there. So I really just kind of went in, testing it, seeing how things worked. And honestly, a lot of people actually had really bummer years this year. I was talking to a fellow business friend in the area here where I live, and she did like a 10th of what she did the year before. Sales have been really slow. Like I said, in that mastermind, a lot of people were saying, maybe last year, the first day they sold 40 things. This year they sold 1. And then of course, there were people that absolutely crushed it. So it's really hard to know how much of this is just the general uncertainty people are feeling, the general worry about money, the fact that, insurance is going up, that people are getting laid off, that, the government's shutting down and people aren't getting paid. Like, it's just a very stressful time. And I recognize that perhaps investing in programs like this is more of a luxury. And so that, I think, is part to play. I think the second part is just we get better the more we do things. I would be really surprised if I made $50,000 the first time I did a Black Friday launch. I did have higher expectations than actually happened. And I think there's some growth there. It's kind of distilling what exactly was the problem is something that I want to dive into. But generally, I think given the economy that we're in, given the fact that it wasn't just me, I can see that some of this might just be the time of the year, the fact that this year has been really hard for people in particular, and then there's just a lot of uncertainty in the world that played into it. But it obviously can't be the only reason. We can't only blame external factors if other people are really crushing it. So part of that could be I have a lot of new people on my list that don't really know me yet because of the summit that I threw in October. So those people haven't had the years or months or however long it takes to really form a strong relationship with me to trust that anything I put out is going to be high quality. The people that did purchase have purchased from me before. These are people that have seen what I've done and they love what I do. And so they want more of it. So that's part of it, is kind of getting those first initial purchases. Maybe they weren't warmed up enough yet to actually invest in it. The second thing could also be the types of offers. So I didn't put my most popular program up on a Black Friday flash sale because I don't offer sales on my program, The Shortcut, where I do it for you. The only thing I've ever done is I've included like a gift with purchase. So I've given away, like $3,000 worth of legal templates when people have purchased, but I don't discount my services because you are getting a ton of my time and expertise with The Shortcut. So that's not something that ever goes on sale. So I did not include it. I did include an offer that was one-to-one coaching with me with a discount, and I offered that on the Thanksgiving because it was limited to the number of people that can purchase it, and that obviously had the lowest open rate of all of my emails. Now, looking at some of the data, most of my offers did not sell at all. So those pages had a 0% conversion rate, but also they had a very low click rate to begin with. That was one of the big things I noticed, is that generally people were opening my emails, they just weren't clicking on anything. So of the offers, I didn't sell most of my offers. The offers that did sell had very high conversion rates on those pages, like 25%, but the burden was actually getting them to the page. They might have actually purchased if they got to the page, but people honestly weren't clicking the emails. So when I say they weren't clicking, let me pull up the emails here. So I sent these emails out. The open rate ranged anywhere from like 32% on Thanksgiving Day to about 46%. And so the average was 42%, which is generally about where I land. I mean, usually it's around 48, but this is pretty standard, especially considering that most of my audience is in the US and people were busy or taking off that week. So of all the emails I was sending, on average, 0.5% of people were actually clicking something in the email. Of the emails that were actually opened, 1.3% of the people were actually clicking it. So a pretty low click rate. I got some pretty good numbers early on. So like day one, it was about 3%, and then it just kind of dropped steadily. And then of course on Thanksgiving Day, it was like 0.1% of people were actually clicking. So what that's telling me is that people were either not interested in buying at all for me. These are offers that are not interesting to them specifically. They're not meeting them where they're at. They're not current needs of theirs, or they just had no intention of buying during Black Friday. So they weren't going to click on anything because they knew that they weren't going to be spending money, or at least not spending money on my particular services. Then I also had a 0.4% unsubscribe rate overall. So there were peaks of this. So those first emails where I was announcing a sale, I had a 0.65% unsubscribe rate, which is higher than my normal of like 0.3 to max 0.5. And yeah, guess what? When I told people I was going to start selling things, some of them wanted to bounce. And that's okay. If me telling you I'm going to sell to you is a reason that you don't want to be on my email list, then I promise you, you don't want to be on my email list. So I let these people go with love. I also actually saw an interesting spike on Thanksgiving evening and Black Friday morning. And these could be, if I had to guess, people that were annoyed that I was selling on a holiday, or they were just kind of burnt out from the whole week of me just sending 2 emails a day. And they're like, you know what? I'm done. I want to be off the list. Again, totally understand if me trying to offer you solutions is not what you're looking for, then we probably don't need to have conversations going forward. An interesting thing, and something I'm actually not upset about at all, is I had about 25 people click the link at the bottom of my emails that I said, if you don't want to hear about Black Friday, cool, just click here. It was a one-click button. They were immediately added to a list that was excluded from every email going forward. Related to Black Friday, of course, they'll get, other emails coming forward. I'm actually not upset about this number. What this number tells me is that there are people out there that aren't ready to purchase from me yet, but they still are interested in what I do. They still want to hear from me. They just knew that they weren't going to be buying one of my Black Friday offers, and so they opted out. This, I think, is a really important option to offer whenever we can, especially if we're doing like longer, harder pitches like this, because if we don't, we're basically saying, if you don't want to hear about this one sale, then you have to unsubscribe from everything that I am doing. I'd rather give them a choice to say, you know what, I'm not interested in this right now, but I still care about what you have, and maybe you'll catch me next time around. And so that's exactly what I did. Do I wish that some of those other people that just straight up unsubscribed had clicked that button? I mean, I guess, but again, I don't really need to pay for you to be on my email list if if you don't have any intention of working with me. If we're not a good fit, maybe read my freebies or you've been reading my emails and you decided that there's not a match there. And so that's fine. I'll let you go with love. It's not about numbers to me, it's about quality. So, yes, there were some spikes in there. Spikes is very relative. Like the absolute highest email where people unsubscribed was 0.7%. And again, this was at the end of the week where people, I guess, were tired of the emails and didn't either recognize that there was an option to not hear about Black Friday or were just done and didn't like what it is that I have to offer. And again, that's okay. I'd rather go out and spend my energy finding people that do care about what I have to say. So I've talked about unsubscribe rates before. I'm drilling down on this point a little heavily, but I just want you to not be afraid to sell simply because people that aren't good fits for you are going to self-select as not being good fits. So that was my Black Friday. Would I do it again? Yeah, probably. I think next year, instead of doing 5 days of deals, I might try a different theme. Maybe it'll be everything is on sale for a week. Maybe it'll just be one day, like just a Black Friday sale or just a Cyber Monday sale, because 12 emails is a lot of emails. Of course, there's some pre-launch emails that go into that before. And not concerned about the number of emails to my email list. Again, I gave them 2 easy outs to stop hearing from me, but more just writing 12 emails, making all of those particular sales pages. And it wasn't super successful. So I think what I would love to do next time around is also figure out what people are wanting. And one of the things that I had seen in my mastermind, and actually even in my own sales of Black Friday, is that what people are looking for is not necessarily courses. They are looking for support, like human support. So those higher ticket, done for you services are the things that people are wanting. Because as I was prepping for my Black Friday in November, I had 3 people apply for the shortcut, and I have a wait list right now. So I don't normally have a wait list. I normally get either full or close to full, and then by the time someone's ready to roll off, another person comes in and applies. And so I've had a very steady number of applicants coming through from the shortcut for about a year now. But things really started to pick up in November, and I've started to see more and more people applying for those done-for-you services. So I don't think it's necessarily that people don't have the money to spend right now. It's just their priorities are changing. The types of things that they might be buying are things that are going to be more service level versus information, especially in this day and age of AI. So that is something that I want to focus on in 2026. I pre-launched the up and running program that I am releasing next year. The idea of this is like it's a done for you shortcut. So you still get support from me, but I'm not actually building the pieces. I'm teaching you how to build the pieces, and then you get to connect with me for support. So it's kind of like a course plus coaching together. So you still get to ask me all of your questions and figure out what is going to be the best thing for you specifically, not for me telling you to go build it on this platform or on that platform. But it's not nearly as intensive as a shortcut where I'm literally doing it all for you and helping you craft the strategy to support it behind it. So that's a big thing I'm going to be focusing on in 2026. Another thing is not this podcast. So with love, I enjoy creating these episodes, but I'm going to tell you, it's a lot of work. If you didn't hear my episode with Alicia Galati, we talked about kind of all of the pieces that go behind creating a podcast. And right now, I'm not seeing the ROI on that. So what I want to do is step back, reevaluate my podcast strategy, maybe figure out different topics or different approaches, a different way to structure this that will allow me to continue to promote the podcast and produce the podcast, but in a way that's not going to drain my resources. So the amount of time and energy that I am putting into this, I'm not seeing the direct return. I don't have people applying to my program saying that they heard me on the podcast. I haven't yet seen that actual advance. It could be happening, but I haven't seen it. If that's you, if you're like, man, Marcy, I'm really loving this podcast, please don't end it, then please send me a message and let me know. But as of right now, in the year that I've been doing this, I haven't been able to see a tangible return. So I want to press pause. I want to stop, reevaluate, figure out what that new direction in 2026 is going to look like. And then if I decide to continue and I'm starting to see some traction with it, I would also want to outsource more pieces of this. I do have a custom GPT that makes a lot of this a lot easier. And I've had support with editing the podcast as well. But I think something more routine and regular where I hit record and then send it off to somebody else to finish up all the other little pieces would be a good use of my time. Again, if the return is there. I find that a lot of the time we put efforts in because that's what we're supposed to be doing and we're just not seeing the return. That was how it worked with me for social media. I had a coach telling me that you had to be on social media. Well, I shouldn't say you have to, but she was really encouraging me to do it because it worked really well for her and it worked really poorly for me. right? People were just not interested in my post. I wasn't doing a very good job. I didn't enjoy it. And I think that also influenced how I showed up. So I think it's really key to think about what is actually working for you. What is the evidence showing you versus what are the experts telling you and showing you? Because there are a lot of experts out there that'll tell you should have a podcast, right? Jenna Kutcher will talk about how podcasting can really help your business. I've had mentors tell me that podcasts have really supported them. And I think it can when you have a strong strategy behind it, but you also have to have the bandwidth, right? If we go to the Pareto principle, if 80% of my return is coming from 20% of my efforts, I can tell you that I would rather take any of the efforts going towards my podcast and direct it to what is actually working. And that's what I'm going to be focusing on in 2026. So what is working for me? Speaking in guest masterclasses, doing freebie swaps with other people, basically leveraging other people's audiences, which is something I have talked about a lot and something that I teach on. And so I'm going to be walking the walk more instead of only devoting about 20% of my time to what's really working and wasting, quote unquote, a lot of time on doing things like this podcast or blog posts or things where I'm not actually seeing traction. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So 2026 is going to be about refocusing. It's going to be about redirecting my efforts to things that actually move the needle, not what is being told to me of things that I should be doing or necessarily trying to copy and paste what's working in another person's business. In January, I will be pulling out my Plan Like a CEO playbook. That is the tool that I use, and it's made available for sale if you want. It is an Excel sheet that helps you plan out your year visually. It's really cool. You can kind of put the dates in, and it'll map it out so you can look at what is happening when. And part of that is actually reflecting first. So before we decide where we want to go, we have to look at where we've been. And that is where I'm going to be spending December, is reflecting. And that way, when I hit January, I love planning in January. I love thinking about what I want that new year to look like. I will be going through this planning tool with the reflections in place of things that I don't necessarily want to bring forward, like this podcast in its exact shape and form. It doesn't mean I won't be back next year. I actually do have another episode already recorded and ready to go for next week. And then we will be ending there because the holidays are coming and then we're rolling into 2026. So figuring out what I want to take forward with me in 2026 and then creating a plan. And that other piece of the plan with the CEO playbook is a custom GPT that I built that helps you actually create a plan. So you talk about what worked, you talk about what you want to change and what you want to bring forward, and it helps you create a step-by-step, like quarter by quarter, month by month, week by week type of plan to help you get to your goals. It's absolutely incredible. And I've seen some really cool results come from using this with both me and my clients. So that is what it's going to be looking like, right? I had an interesting Black Friday. Very happy that I did it. Wish it could have gone a little better. If you have ideas of things you would have loved to see me offer, please let me know. And then just doing a little bit of reflecting. And I would encourage you to do the same. If you have the space this December, start thinking about what has been really working for you and how can you redirect your energy into things that are really working, that are really effective, that are moving the needle, whatever the cliche is you want to use here, right? Think about how you can redirect your efforts and let go of some of the things that maybe you were told you need to be doing or that you see other people doing, but you haven't actually built the traction yet. Now, it could be because you haven't built in the consistency, but if you have the evidence that it isn't necessarily working for you, it's time to either adjust the strategy or let it go altogether. So with that, I'm going to let you go. I wish you very happy holidays, whatever you celebrate, if you celebrate anything. Otherwise, I wish you a happy December. And hopefully I will see you again in some form or fashion in January. If not, and you want to stay in touch with me, please jump over to my website, marcyrossi.com. I've got lots of different ways that you can connect with me, chat with me, join my email list, etc. And I'd love to hear from you. If this was valuable and you want me to continue this, please let me know. Otherwise, Happy New Year, happy 2026. And I wish you all the best. Keep thriving.